This is Jordan Wagner, and this is my video submission for assignment 2.4, my reflective journal entry regarding the case studies that we went over in class this week, regarding early labor and admitting a client who is in labor, possibly in labor. The connections that I found between the first case study, which was the G1 in clinic. We've had a lot of G1s lately, and a lot who have experienced a lot of prodromal labor. For one, she was coming in at least twice, maybe 3 times a week, to get IV fluids, as this would calm down the contractions when she was properly hydrated. Then her contractions would subside, and she just recently delivered at 38 and 6, if I remember right. Then for another G1, she was in prodromal for weeks and was miserable. What we did there was she was planning a birth center birth, and she came into the birth center a few times thinking that it was the real deal, and checked her, and she was not in labor, but waited it out because she felt like she was in labor. She didn't want to go home. She ended up going home, and this client actually ended up transferring to the hospital because the prodromal labor was too much, and she wanted an epidural, and sadly ended up with a C-section. But this client did have doula. I think that clients do have to choose what's best for them in their situation, and for her, what she needed was to go to the hospital and to have an epidural, and she ended up being happy with her birth, even though it was different from what she planned and what we wanted for her. But she had a healthy baby. In making a connection with the second case study, which was Bess, who was the G3, those ones can kind of be unpredictable. I feel like second babies come really quick. Third babies, it's like kind of a wild card, what they're gonna do. But I was recently at a birth with G3, and she was 41 and 6, and we had to get her into active labor by 42, so showed up pretty close to midnight. Castor oil induced her, and didn't break her water, and she went into spontaneous labor within an hour. Started having contractions. I never had a bowel movement, and an hour after her contractions started, her baby was born. She was a big surprise. She was also of Slavic heritage, which we have a large population of Slavic people where I'm at here, and they go really fast, and it's still surprising me how fast they go once their body kicks in. It's taught me to be much more aware and treat the client as an individual, and not just guess that they're going to birth the same as other people. And then with case 3, which was Claire, the G12, just last night I was at a birth with a quiet one. I was speaking in the live session about the quiet ones and how they always scare me because you never know really what's going on. And only a couple times have I seen people pushing and not making any sound. And you really have to visually be aware of the changes in the parent's posture and what you're hearing on the Doppler when checking heart tones, because when that heart rate goes down in the squeezy spot, like, you know, the baby's like really in there, very much so engaged, very low. This client declined vaginal examinations, and I heard that squeezy spot on the Doppler, and I was like unsure though, because she didn't really seem like anything was going to happen, and she had her baby 5 minutes later. Silently. Anyway, when it comes to labor admission, I think it varies on the client and their needs. Sometimes a client needs more attention from the midwife, and others prefer to have the midwife in the other room while they labor, you know, if they're not in need. So that's basically what I got out of the case studies and applying them to what I have seen in clinic. I'm always learning more and taking note of how I can be better aware of how to serve the client for their particular need. They're all different. There's nothing monotonous about midwifery.